This is Ann White, the founder of the Creating Calm Network, and we are here today with three incredible women. The one we'd like to shine the light on is Julia Stege, the magical marketer. And Julia, thank you for being with us today and sharing some of your magic. There we go. We're going to talk about magical marketing and branding from the heart, all sorts of wonderful things. And joining me is Cymber Lily Quinn. And Cymber Lily Quinn, among other things, is a, I'm trying to think, what kind of harpist? It starts with an S, celestial healing harpist, Reiki healing harpist, part of the Creating Calm Network. Do you like celestial healing harpist?
Yeah, I like that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's my favorite one. And you can see Cymber on the Creating Calm Network page, as well as just by going to our website. And your website is Cymber, or which is the website you'd like people to find you at?
Yeah, Cymber.com, Cymber.com.
See how easy we make things? And also with us is Girish, the host of The Grammar of Grief on the Creating Calm Network, and author of a new book coming out by Hay House. And we're so excited about your new book, Losing Alma, Finding Home. And Uma, where can they find you?
My website is umagirish.com, umagirish.com.
And both Uma and Cymber have been working with Julia, creating magic. And anyone who is watching us today, I also want to let you know that if you go to magicalmarketing.com,
with a hyphen.
There's a hyphen there, magical-marketing.com. It's a fun place. In preparing for this interview, Julia, I've just been popping all over and sparkles and magic. So tell us, Julia, you have changed the paradigm for marketing drastically. How did you decide that marketing was backwards, and how did you turn it around to make your magical marketing?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here today. And, you know, first of all, my first experience with marketing, being a marketer in Manhattan, just was, it was like torture. So my first experience was of just a personal aversion to marketing. And yet I was a designer, so, you know, coming up with something to do with my life when that wasn't completely against my beliefs, that became my search. As soon as I left Manhattan, I started my career in Manhattan, and I learned that marketing was all about hyping and lying and brainwashing people. And then I left Manhattan just to live on unemployment for a couple years with a friend of mine in Illinois, and discovered that there was a whole other path awaiting me to that included marketing, but marketing as a different for a different reason, or marketing people that I believed in for ideas and whatever they were providing, you know, their gifts or their opportunities in the world that were going to help humanity and the planet in some way. So I started using marketing for good, also for free for the first little while. But so I was really picky about who I was going to market for if it was going to be free. But at a certain point, I decided to get back into mainstream, sort of mainstream, you know, business world, entrepreneurial world about 15 years ago. And at that time, I started getting introduced to how to use the attraction plan and how to do do manifesting is what we called it back in the day.
Sure.
And
I really was attracted, Julia, because, you know, I'm averse to marketing. I consider myself kind of shy, and I don't want to push anybody. And in the traditional styles that I looked at, it was always about somebody else, and it never felt right to me. And then when I started looking at what you were doing, you were trying to get in touch with who you are and then attracting it to you. It was almost like you spun the world of marketing upside down.
Yeah, I did spin the world of marketing upside down. That's exactly what I did. Well, it took a long time, so it wasn't as if it happened overnight. It was me following everything that felt right to me. And recently, using the character codes, I've discovered that the people that are like me have that in common. Like we feel into things, and the way we make decisions is different. We don't like anything in a box. We like things that are different from the norm, from the mainstream, because we're kind of rebels. And we know that, well, we feel suffering, and we know that suffering doesn't necessarily have to exist in the way it exists on our planet. Like, there doesn't have to be starvation, for instance. And there's certain kinds of suffering that people have that there's ways to help them. And so I started helping people who are going to help people as a way to transform the world and helping them to get their message out to the world authentically, because only when you're authentic do your people recognize you. So after being, for 12 years I was active in pretty much, I don't know what you want to call it, but activist underground maybe. But it was not your mainstream activism so much as way progressive, out there activism and philosophy regarding creating a new society. So for about 12 years, and during that time I was also selling t-shirts at Grateful Dead concerts for a living, and it became clear to me that there were definitely alternatives that we could create as human beings that weren't being tried. And that's what I wanted to promote, and that the authentic part of it is what flies in the face. The authentic part of it is actually what's really different about it. I mean, we use the law of attraction, which makes it different. Nobody else seems to be doing that either, using law of attraction in marketing for some reason. Like attracts like. They're always like, oh, well, you have to decide what your niche is and then target them and inundate them with messages until they're convinced that their life is meaningless without you, and then they're going to buy your stuff, and then you're not really going to provide them the services that you promised to begin with because you overpromised and hyped it up. Right? I mean, this is just the way, we've experienced all of this. So most of those of us who have heart-based business, we don't want to do stuff that way. We want to make sure that if we're going to put messages out there, they're going to uplift people. You figure that if you're doing well, about 95% of your messages are either ignored or not read, or people just kind of pass them by, and maybe 5% of the people looking at them might read them or interact with you in some way online if you're doing well. So, of course, if you're doing better than that, you're doing exceptionally well. But just if we just take those numbers as true for a minute, then you figure 95% of the people you're not going to work with or even have a chance to talk with. So what are you going to do? Make them scared that their life is meaningless without you? That just doesn't seem to be, that's definitely not revolutionary, and that's definitely not how I want to spend my energy. So I consider that my service in the world is to help the people that connect with me. And then the ones that I'm working with, I do it on a more deeper level. But I start with the sales calls that I'm doing with people. That, they can get a magical strategy session with me, and just it becomes to where I'm serving them in their purpose, whether or not I end up working with them. And I feel that that is the way to do marketing, is to provide a service at a certain level for free, maybe multiple levels for free, that fulfill your life purpose, and that those who sign on to work with you in the paid programs that you have are going to just be that much more aligned with you. I mean, they've already started working with you.
And isn't part of magical marketing, talk about how the attraction, because how do we bring in people that are like us? And that's part that I found so fascinating, using the law of attraction to bring in like-minded people that we enjoy working with.
Yeah, well, we're already attracting people who are like us. in some level. So the first thing would be to take responsibility for that. We're the ones attracting who's in our scene. And we're attracting them by being like them. So sometimes we become people we don't like in resistance to them. So maybe we're resistant to people. Maybe we have attract a client that turns out to be a bad client, and then we're resisting that behavior, and next thing you know, we attract another one. And it's really that we're being vibrationally like that we can attract it, either by resisting it or by being that way ourselves. Either way, it's basically the same. You know, you can fight against, fight the power, but then the power is stronger, so it sort of sucks that way. So, we feel like, oh, can't I just fight the power for a while and win? No, it's just not going to work that way. We need to be the power kind of thing. Hey, let's write a new rap. Be the power that be. Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful seminar with, and I know both Cymber and Uma were there. And I don't know if one of you, Cymber or Uma, want to come in and share some of that experience of actually working with Julia live in the seminar. Do you want to start, Uma, with what it was like to be there live? I suppose being there dead doesn't really help.
No, it's fun there virtually or invisibly.
I think we had, 60 women? Was it 60 or 50?
Yeah, it was 50.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so just being in the energy of people who understand your language, speak the same lingo, where you can bandy words like soul and joy and fulfillment and life purpose and feel really understood and held in that space. To me, that was such a gift. It was really eye-opening. To connect with your soul tribe and know that everyone in the room gets that the only reason we're here is to serve the world from a bigger place, a bigger stage, and that's what all of us want to do. And we're looking for the answers and the methods in which to do that with authenticity and, a heart-centered approach. And that's why I think all of us connect so well with Julia, because to me, she is the only person who's able to put soul and marketing together. Nobody has done that for me until I met her. And marketing now feels like fun. I never ever thought I would say this, but when marketing is approached from inside out, as opposed to outside in, it feels fun. It feels like something one wants to be doing, because you're constantly thinking, what do I want to do, what's perfect for me and what's perfect for my tribe. And so a lot of the 2-day seminar was about learning how to do that, was getting clear about our marketing message, about our branding, about who our folks are, and how to do the attraction plan, the strategic attraction plan, in a way that will draw like-minded folks into our space. So, Cymber, you might want to add to that.
Yeah, it was such a magical weekend, and I mean that genuinely. It was so wonderful to meet my tribe also. This was the first time I really felt like I was with a big group of people who got me. I've been with a lot of women, but to hear...
You've had marketing before, right? So you've had a marketing background yourself, but from the old paradigm.
That's right, yeah. I spent 30 years in the old paradigm of targeting audiences, defining problems, creating a problem that you have to solve, and that always bothered me, Julia. It just, I was in it too, worked at several agencies, and just couldn't figure out how to talk about a product or a service that I believed in a way that didn't sound like you were going to have to, make somebody hurt so you could make them feel better. I didn't want to have to do that, and a lot of marketing is still taught that way. You have to find the pain point, the problem that the urgent, irresistible problem, all of that language just makes my stomach turn. I just don't want to work with people who are approaching life from that point of view, because I don't come from that point of view myself. And so I also have been working with this material for a long time because I knew about this book, Attracting Perfect Customers, and the teachers that Julia had that taught her the system, but I never studied with them. I never took a course from them or anything like that. I just had the book. And then I kind of forgot about the book. And so when Uma and Maeve reintroduced me to this material, and then to Julia, I'm like, oh, there's a real person that I can talk to, that I can go to a conference and meet some more of these people. It's not just a book and me anymore. And yeah, and Julia talks about the idea that we don't need to be a Lone Ranger anymore. We don't need to be working alone anymore. We can have our tribe, and that was truly transformative for me. So yeah, thank you, Julia.
That's a wonderful weekend. And Julia, how did you approach the weekend? You had all these. Were they all women, or did you have a man? I thought I saw a man.
There was a couple of guys there.
I saw a couple of with inner feminine selves or whatever.
Yes, that's right.
How did you approach them for the weekend, or where does somebody start? Maybe those are two different questions.
Well, yes, it's two different questions in a sense, but the one question is, who am I attracting? Like, who's my tribe? And so when I was creating a live event, I was thinking, well, what is it that I have to do? And, what I have to do is what nobody else is doing, that I've been meaning to do, but no one else is doing. That's mostly what we do, right? We're like, oh, why hasn't anyone thought of this yet? And then a few years go by and we think, oh, I should probably be the one doing that, I guess. So, as we get old, in our older years, it becomes less okay to really wait, actually. And so with some help from my coach, I finally committed to doing this and just got the support that I needed to both from my coach and from my community to create this event. And the way I filled it is by offering it to people, largely offering it to people who were my already high-end clients and people that took workshops with me. So, for instance, my website clients and now my starpreneur people would, they have pretty much carte blanche to come to Magical Marketing Live for free forever. Mm-hmm. And part of the way that I do the tribe stuff is I have an inner circle, and once you're in the inner circle, you're always in the inner circle. I don't kick my inner circle people out. So why do I do it that way? Well, one of my coaches did that, and I thought it was a good idea. Later, I figured out, oh yeah, people who have a certain kind of personality that likes to connect with other people in a deep, spiritual, loving way don't like to be kicked out of the group. It's like a trauma. So if you're in a group and then at the end of the year you get kicked out, it's traumatic. So I thought, oh, why would I do that to my people? Why would I only have them in a group for a short while and then kick them out? And I decided I would just create one big group and everyone gets to stay in the group. And so the idea here was that our inner circle was going to get together live. And that is largely who it was. I think it was probably about 3/4 people that were already in the inner circle, and then 1/4 of them were people that weren't in the inner circle yet or haven't joined the inner circle yet. So they were allowed to come either, they paid a ticket or volunteered in some way. Mm-hmm. So my main concern in general is that I'm attracting people that I'm aligned with. I believe that once that happens, that as long as I have a decent offering, that people are going to step up to join that, to engage with that, or to participate in that offering, and that has been my experience. And so my hope, my wish for all the people that I have in the inner circle and everyone that I talk with actually that they're able to clarify their purpose through their marketing in a way that attracts their tribe and inspires them to interact. And that, secondarily, you'll have something to offer them. I mean, you could practically do that and just do affiliate marketing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you could attract your tribe and just say, okay, I don't really have anything specific to offer, but I know all these people that have incredible things. I'm just going to offer what they have and put it under my one big umbrella. I mean, that's one way that people can become very lucrative independently without having to do a lot of their own work outside of connecting. I think that's a good method for connectors, to promote other things, people's other stuff. Just like, for instance, last month, I think I got like about $1,000 from sending four letters. I sent 4 letters, and out of 4 letters, or maybe 5, I received $1,000. So those letters were kind of pre-written. I think it took me an hour. So that kind of I don't think this is what I keep saying over and over and over again, right, Cymber? It doesn't matter what you're offering. If you attract your tribe, then they want whatever you have.
Mm-hmm.
Because they trust you, especially the people that were at Magical Marketing Live were largely what might be known more commonly as a cultural creative. A person who's a creative type, very complex personality, who cares a lot about people and feels things deeply and wants their work to have meaning and impact in the world, like a significant impact. And they want it to be unique and creative and, progressive. So these people are, they have specific needs. And one of them is to be gotten, and the other is to connect. So if you can get your people and connect with them, offer them an opportunity to connect with you, and then say, I've done all this research, and I found this person who's offering this grief program, or this person who's offering this marketing program, or this person who's teaching workshops, or whatever it is, that I've studied them, and I found them to be in our tribe, and you can trust them. You can start your business there, or if you have a program, like, you can think about what are the steps that I would take anyone through and create your own program, then your tribe would be flipping out over it because nobody else has it.
And Julie, you offer a magical marketing toolbox too, I noticed. Is that a good place for people to get in and get their feet wet and get a taste?
Yes,
of
perfect.
that you do?
So it's actually magicalmarketingtoolkit.com. And so magicalmarketingtoolkit.com, you can just put that in, all one word. And on that little toolkit, you can download the attraction planning workbook that I created, and I have a couple of videos there that teach you how to, 1, create your attraction plan, and 2, start developing your brand out of the attraction plan. So it's a way to kind of distract yourself, actually, into creating a brand so that it's not so intellectually created. Just by asking yourself what's perfect for me, you end up with a brand.
I love that.
It's crazy, but that's what we like. That's what our type likes. We like kind of crazy, out of the box. Nobody has done this before. It seems so totally different. It's got to work better than what I've been doing, right? Whatever the thing is that we were following. Usually out in the big world, people get convinced into being a certain way, and just in order to fit in and be, I don't know, upstanding or respectable in the society. And so usually the advice that we hear in order to be that way goes very much against our intuition and our creative impetus, as human beings, and especially our type. So let's not listen to them anymore. Let's listen more to what's perfect for us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Cymber, you've been, I'm going to ask this for Uma too, as you've been studying with Julia, Can you see changes that you've been making or ways that you have been shifting the kind of business that you're doing?
Yeah, it's just been amazing, actually, Anne. So I'm a harpist, and I've been struggling with how do I talk about what I do. I'm a Reiki master. I do this healing music. I've done, love working with the other radio hosts. And Uma and I have even done a project together, a guided meditation where she did the voice and I did the music, and it came out beautifully. But I just was really struggling with what to call myself because I was still in this old mode of who is my target audience and how do I explain myself to them. And turning it inward, turning that question inward and saying, who am I and how do I express that, was a huge breakthrough. Because I'm a trained journalist. We get trained to not talk about ourselves. You have to be objective, and it's all external. How you write about things is all external. You're just trained to turn your focus away from yourself. Yeah. So I'm having to unlearn all of that. And I know the journalistic stuff is all helpful in other areas, but to do this work, I've had to unlearn everything I learned in college and so forth. And then the character codes piece that Julia introduced to us is not in this book that I was mentioning earlier, but is a unique portion of Julia's work. Really helped me to understand that I had been operating in the world with an outer cloak of scholar or intellectual person, and that it actually turned out to be a very low number on my list of characters. That's I got 4 points for that, where other characters that are much higher ranking and who I truly am, the artist and the activist, were more like 11 and 12. I mean, much higher numbers. And I really got that that old way of it being sort of intellectual in the world served me when I was younger, but I could set that down. And I thank you, Julia, for giving me the words, really. That was the biggest problem. I just didn't know how to talk about that. And so having the words then made it possible for me to set down some old things that are no longer serving me and to truly begin to ask myself, what do I want? Which is a question that I have never really asked myself.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so, I have to chime in because I think that question, what do I want, is a revolutionary question for women especially to ask. Because our whole lives we're pretty much taught that it's all about everyone else's needs and that we're supposed to, in fact, give them the oxygen before we give it to ourselves in most areas of life, especially if we're caretaking for children and for husbands and such like that. And so the question, what do I want, sometimes it's a struggle. Like sometimes when I've asked that question, it's been painful because I didn't believe that I could attract what I wanted. And so the genius of Jan Stringer, who created the attraction plan, is that she asked the question, if I can attract anything I want, and I can, what I want is this. And that kind of mitigates the whole resistance part. Well, almost mitigates it. But, it's sort of like, wow, I remember one time she said, well, if you can attract anything you want, what do you want to attract? And I said, well, I want to uplift and empower millions of people to transform the world. And then she said, okay. And then she went on to the next person. But I was there going, oh, no, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? But within a couple of months, Jan Van Zant was calling me for a website. And within a year of that, she was back on Oprah talking to millions of people and transforming their lives. And so I was thinking I began to get it, that it's by impacting the lives of the people that we are attracting that we actually impact the world. And if we realize that, take responsibility for that, and our messaging gets transformed as we realize, oh, my message is important, there's a significance to what I'm saying. I'm going to say it as well and as authentically as I possibly can, and with the aim of attracting my people from the heart and offering them something that no one else is offering them that has great value, that is going to impact their ability to impact the world too.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like that. Did you have any more to say, Cymber, or?
Yeah, I cut you off.
No, that was just perfect. That's just what I was hoping you would say at some point. You want to ask Uma the same question?
I will. Yeah. So, Uma, after going through this process, where are you and how has it impacted your life?
Okay, so Julia came into my life in November of 2013. I'll never forget that because right before that time I was hiding in a corner and going, I hate marketing, but I have this huge need to play big in the world, and how am I going to do it if I don't like marketing? And so when she came into my life, and it was through a webinar series that she taught a group of people, and Maeve and I were part of that group. I don't know, I just feel like I began to draw so many wonderful things to myself. All of a sudden, I was invited to be part of a grief healing telesummit. The email just landed in my inbox. I didn't even know how that happened. And my e-list numbers really increased after that. I'm now going to be part of a second telesummit with another woman also who just showed up and asked if I would be willing to do that. These are people who've been following me on Facebook and some other groups as well, and they seem to sense a connection. It's like I'm finding my tribe and they're finding me, and so we're doing interesting things together, interesting work in the world. Also, right before I found Julia, I was struggling with the technology piece. I was afraid, I was insecure, I was going after perfection instead of saying I can start where I am, and she's really the one who gave me permission to begin where I am and to do what felt comfortable. So I did my first 6-week Grief to Gratitude teleseminar series, and I had 3 people in that, and I was thrilled about it. I'm currently teaching a 4-part webinar series. If someone had told me 6 months ago that I could do a webinar, I would have dropped down in a dead faint. So I have 7 people in my webinar series now, and just enjoying creating it and delivering it and teaching. It makes me come alive. I'm so much fuller than I ever have been in the way that I am showing up in the world, and I'm very excited. My book is coming out next month in India, and I just feel lots of doors are opening. People are just, I've been negotiating with a center here to teach workshops, and they're excited about my offering the workshops. The school district here sent me an email just yesterday asking if I'd be interested in teaching some continuing education classes. So they're interviewing me in the second week of June. So all kinds of opportunities are showing up, and my life was much more contracted before Julia came into it, I have to say.
You were hiding in the corner.
I was.
And you're such a gift. So I'm so glad you are out of the corner and for all of us to share with that. Julia, beautiful stories, beautiful stories. Where does someone start? Suppose they lived under a rock and just discovered you. They're watching this show for the first time and they thought, wow, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, there's a couple of things they can do. Like I said, the Magical Marketing Toolkit, you can get started creating your attraction plan. Also, if you go to my website at magical-marketing.com and scroll to the bottom, you'll see upcoming events and happenings. And there's a free webinar called Rebel Marketing for Women Who Won't Be Silent. And you can register for that for free. It's going to be on Thursday, May 22nd. And in this webinar, I'm going to be talking about how I have helped change makers to clarify their purpose through their marketing in a way that really attracts their tribe. And so how to do that in your own marketing. That's what that's about. And, you know, obviously from the name, Rebel Marketing for Women Who Won't Be Silent, it's really about I really want to support women especially to stop being silent, stop hiding in the corner, and realize that when you bring your gifts out to the world, you're transforming lives and the world, that's how we're actually changing the world. You know, you could maybe impact those 7 people like Uma has in her program, that they could impact their lives forever.
Yeah,
probably will, right? Because they're in grief right now, and she's going to teach them how to look at it in a different way and to experience life differently. So it's going to transform their lives. So, so they can go to magical-marketing.com. They can access the toolkit from there. They can get access to my free webinar. And if people, if there's somebody here that knows that you are really needing a deeper level of support in this area than my free offers are going to provide, I do offer a magical strategy session, which there's a link on the side of my website. You can get access to talking with me, and we can talk about, well, what would be the next steps for you to really get that message out to the world authentically and powerfully, so that you start attracting your tribe. I think all of us here will agree that when we start working with the attraction plan, that's when our lives change, because we start attracting the people that are aligned with us. Before that, there may be people that we're just fighting against a lot of the time, or that we're resisting in some way, or we're concerned that they're not going to get us, and there's all this monkey mind around it. But when you start knowing that you're attracting people consciously who are aligned with you, and you learn what you can say from the heart, authentically, your own words, that will actually filter out for you. I mean, when I say magical marketing, that kind of filters out a lot of those triple blind study types right away.
Yeah.
Even my coach at the time said, it sounds like what I usually advise people against. I said, well, it's really not. I'm not saying you should just sit there not doing anything. I just say you should do it consciously with an eye to that like attracts like. So, I have a hard time finding the right people to advise me. But when you're on the cutting edge, there's never a crowd. That's what Abraham says. So often we have to just kind of do it, Julia, now my coach just says, just do it.
I have a question for Julia, Ann.
Okay. Go ahead.
Julia, your approach to building websites is something I find fascinating. You do it very differently from other people who just give you a banner and say, okay, this is what it needs to look like, this is where the opt-in box needs to go in. But you actually have your peeps come up with colors and designs and images that resonate with their soul. So would you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, most of the time the people that do your websites are very intellectual scholar types who are not emotionally driven and are generally know the way to do it. And they like certainty, so they quite frequently will use templates that are pre-designed, and there may be maybe 15 to choose from, so you sort of have a variety. And then you're going to kind of plunk some photographs in there and put some stuff. But really, you're not going to feel represented by that kind of website. So over the years, I've developed a process of creating websites it's really creating your brand first, where you're discovering who your soul tribe is and what your message is and your free offer, and how you're going to start a conversation with people online that inspires them to interact with you. And then the visual aspect is collaboratively created after that, using a variety of online tools, including Pinterest and webinars, and like this Hangout technology, where you can show your screen, and I can actually design in real time using images that I've selected with my clients while they're watching, literally over my shoulder, virtually over my shoulder, and develop an image that they feel resonates with them and expresses their purpose authentically. And so it's a beautiful process. I don't know anyone else in the history of life that has come up with that process, because the designers, don't frequently like to get too into it with their clients, into anything personal or anything really relational. They'd like to go off on their own and do the designs and come back with some choices. So I don't do it that way. I have to do everything the opposite of the way everyone else does it.
And we love you for that.
Yeah.
But it's what one day, I was making these changes and then saving them and sending them to the woman and then making more changes and saving. I was like, we should just turn on a webinar. I could share my screen with you, and we should it would be faster. And I realized that it was much faster to do it collaboratively and energetically more fun and more uplifting most of the time, because instead of worrying, like, are they going to hate it? I just send it to them, and then I have no idea if they're going to hate it, and then, or whatever. We're just creating it together. If they don't like that color, we just switch it right there. So
that's a great question. Yeah. Any follow-up on that, Uma?
No, I've met lots of women who have had their websites designed by Julia, and they're just super happy with the results. And we talked a lot about that over this weekend when we met. And I'm waiting for the day when I can get my website done by her too.
Yeah, that would be great.
You keep doing what you're doing, and it'll happen sooner than you think.
That's right.
The one question I have is, Julia, do you have any more live events planned or on the calendar?
It's not on the calendar yet. It's going to be either late October or early November, Magical Marketing Live 2. I have to talk with my astrologer because she told me that doing this event was going to be like pushing a boulder up a hill, and that it wouldn't seem like even the smallest effort would take all my energy away. So by day 2, I had a migraine. I was leading through a migraine. In fact, I coached like 10 people that day and had no recollection of it until I saw the pictures. But anyway, it looks like I went into some other ulterior zone or something to do it. So didn't even remember till 4 days later that she had warned me. So I have to tell her that she was very right, and to please tell me when I should do this, where Mars is not going retrograde and where I don't have any like really hard aspects going on, and that's when I'm going to do it.
Okay, that's good. Any other This has just been delightful. Cymber, do you have any other comments, questions for Julia?
I just wanted to thank you, Julia, because you didn't have to do this. You could have just gone on in your life and been a graphic designer hiding out in the corner, but you've stepped into your power, and you're such an inspiration to and your story. I know we didn't have time to get into, but when we invite her back, maybe we'll ask some more questions about her story. But I always admired people who had the courage to live the way you did. I decided I'd hide out in a cubicle for a few years and then come out. So I love hearing your stories. It's the path I didn't take. And I'm just really
sweet.
T-shirts and the Grateful Dead give me a clue that there's something more going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on there. So it's really encouraging my rebel to come out of the cubicle and get busy. So thank you.
And Uma, your husband had a connection with Julia. Isn't he a deadhead?
My husband's a deadhead, yes.
We didn't get to meet this time. He has to come back out.
Yeah.
He has to, yeah. Julia wasn't feeling too good, and the event was stressful enough for her, so some other time.
Next time I'm going to be training, so I'm becoming a yogini so that I can lead my people.
Oh, cool.
That's neat. Uma, anything else before we bring her in for landing?
I just want to say I love you, Julia, and I'm so glad I know you and I'm working with you. I love every minute of the time I spend with you, and I learned so much. So thank you for being who you are.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you for giving us some of your time today. It was fun to shine the light on you and see the magic that you create. I love your website with the colors, and it just really resonates with me. And I hope you will come back someday. You have inspired me to start a series called Inspiring Women, and you are the first inspiring woman that we've talked to. So like I say, we may have another time to delve a little deeper into.
Wow, I got a lot of people to refer to you.
Yeah. So,
yes, yay.
Yeah.
Great fun. And I thank everybody who's been watching and who will watch. That's the cool thing about this, is that we get to keep it on YouTube and on our web pages. So many blessings. Thank you, Julia, for being with us. Cymber, Uma, thank you both. It's just what I think likes attract like. We have a wonderful little. I just got spirit chills. We have a wonderful thing going on here. So thank you
Go
all.
forth and attract. Woo!
Just so you know, I have my magic wands too.
Yay!
You know, I was a trauma chaplain once, and somebody gave me this magic wand, and I had to stop carrying it at work because everything, it was sometimes would get stressful. I thought, whack, whack, whack. And I thought, you know, not used as an instrument of destruction. It is a magic wand.
That's awesome.
But I like your magic wand, Julia. So, shalom to everybody, namaste, and just make magic wherever you go. And check out Julia's website with magical-marketing.com and have all sorts of fun. Take care, everybody.